Recently, I heard a discussion about information coming out of the under 20 squad, about the under 20 squad and the training, and people complaining that they haven't heard from the coach and things like that. One person even went as far as saying he doesn't know if Mr. Gale speak English or Swahili. And some people are blaming social media. Some people are blaming mainstream media for not bringing the information that they want to hear. But it's not those people's fault. And the people them who work for JFF to make sure say the public knows what is going on. Right? If today the JFF get a sponsorship for $50 million, you'd have see how quick press release would have got. You'd have see how quick press conference would have organized. You understand? And them have the key people them who can inform and say, look, this is what we do, this is what we're doing, this is what money is for, whatever the case may be. Right? So it's the same thing when you have different teams in training. It should be a standard, right? But that must come from the press officer. The press officer must turn around and say, look, you see, after training, 15 minutes after training, or 30 minutes after training, we are going to have a press conference where you can ask the coach, and we will also have X player or Y player will also be at the press conference, and then you can ask the questions, right? Like on many occasions, the press officer can say, look, we want the questions to, concentrate on this and concentrate on that, and we don't really want to talk about this or talk about that. In which case, a journalist are going to ask the question anyway, because just to hear the press officer or the person being interviewed say, okay, we don't want to talk about this, we don't want to talk about that, that is news, That is the headline. Sometimes a press officer say, sometimes a player or a coach say enough things. But the one response where him say, oh, I'm not prepared to talk about that now. That are the biggest news out of the press conference. At that mainstream media or social media will take a run. Why is it that him can't say nothing? Is it because of this, and it's going to create many more questions, right? And that is why it is always important for people to be open and say things. Sometimes I'm going to tell lie, but if them even answer the question now, you don't have this thing where everybody has speculated as to whatever the case may be. You understand? So the press officer is the person, and nobody should be telling the press officer that this is what should be done. It shouldn't be that. The press officer is supposed to know that. The press officer is supposed to know that. But you see, this JFF thing, it's like everybody in the JFF, everybody in it just eat a food. The eat a food mentality thing. You understand? And them not going to do it unless it's totally, when it's in them favor to do it. If it's not in them favor, them not going to do it. But it must be, if you watch foreign media, you say whether it's in them favor or not, people are going to do it. People have you have to be out there. If you're not even transparent, you have to at least come across the perception of being transparent. You understand? So this whole thing where you talk about, social media and them not asking the right question and them not doing a program and such and whatever, you're blaming the wrong set of people. Them who you must put pressure on is the organization, and in particular the person who is in charge of that particular area of responsibility. Right? So you can't expect Mr. Gale to run, go call, go pick up him phone and say, wait, we had a training session this afternoon, and I would like to talk about this training session. And him going to run, go to mainstream media and talk about it, or him going to run to social media. Can't expect the man to do that. That is not his job. His job is to coach. And part of his responsibility is to report or keep Jamaican people up to date on what is going on, because they are stakeholders. Okay? But if you don't schedule a press conference, he will not be able to do that. It must come from the organization. And if the organization is not scheduling these things, it could be perceived that they are trying to hide things. They don't want things to come out in the public, or people are going to ask questions. Right? And the ones that you answer is just as important as the ones that you don't answer. Right? So if the JFF decide, say, all right, you know what, we are going to make sure we have a press conference every time the team trains. If the under 20 team training, we're going to have a player, or just going to be the coach this evening, or whatever the case may be, that needs to be put in place. And that is not even something that the public should have to ask for. The public shouldn't have to ask for that. That should be something that is set in stone. That is the job of the press officer. It can't be that the job of the press officer is to, just send out a release. Oh, we're going to play this game and so on. We've got a game against so and so, and that's it. This whole heap of eater food business are people who have positions and don't understand what it is that they're supposed to do. That need to stop. They need to be more professional. It's go down to professionalism. It comes down to professionalism. Right? You cannot have a situation where a man in a job and he don't know, what he's supposed to do. Right? It's the same thing. You see, like what happened with the girls that do the world record thing, and it turned out say the record can't be ratified because one of the girls them didn't get tested. She got tested the day before, and then the person who is doing the testing said, well, we're not going to test her because she was tested the day before, and it turns out that was a mistake that was made, and so the record cannot be ratified. You know what the problem is with that? The person who has that job, the person who has that responsibility to make that decision, was not aware that is what they should have been doing. They did not understand their job. So they cited a policy that was written by the organization that you wouldn't, I think it says something like you wouldn't test somebody, within 3 days or something like that, whatever. But you didn't take into consideration that in the event that this person runs a record or is part of a team that runs a record, that needed, in order for ratification, you needed to do testing. The problem is now, the person who is in charge is not sports savvy. They went by the book. And in this case, the book failed. If the person was sports savvy, they would have said, look, you know what? They run a record. Oh, we have to test this man. If that was the mindset, I don't care what, even if you test the person this morning and they run this evening, we have to test them again because this is out of the ordinary for a person to. People don't break records every day. You understand? People don't run a person who has a personal best of 11.15 don't get up and run 10.7 the next a week later or something, and you don't do a test. You have to. You understand? And it's not that we're saying that the person is being dishonest or anything, but just for clarity, to avoid suspicion, you have to do that test. So because you test the person last week, don't mean say you can't test the person this week. The point I'm making is this. You need to have people who are in positions of authority, who are in positions of responsibility. We need to have people who understand the sport for which they are in charge of. You need to understand it. You need to understand the inner workings of the thing. You can't get the job, and I'm not here saying that people get the job because it's a friend thing, but we know how it go. We know it go already. A lot of the times people have jobs because they know this person or they know that person and this person know them or whatever the case may be. We know that. We know that. We well know that that's what pertains in our culture. We know that. And not only our culture alone, it happens all over. But at least the person should understand the responsibility which they have. Because if they don't, then that's when you have things like these coming up. That's when you have people will slack off because it's the friend thing why them get the job in the first place. It's a friendship thing why they have the job in the first place. And so therefore they feel that, okay, you can't get me out of the job because as long as me and so is friend. That's it. You understand? So you need to have people who understand the job that they're doing and people who are willing to live up to the responsibilities of the position which they have. Right? A lot of the things that JFF does that turn around and embarrass the organization. A lot of the things, sometimes it's not even a money grabbing thing or whatever why it's happening. Man just don't realize well, this is why I'm put on, that is why I'm put on. You understand? Or the person is so naive that they go ahead and make certain arrangements, not realizing that, oh, you know what? This could happen and that could happen and if this happen and that happen, they don't have a plan B in place. Right? Now, sometimes this comes with experience. So there's no problem if the person slip up once, but don't make it happen again, brother. And what we have seen with JFF is that it's just incident after incident after incident, and they sound so ridiculous some of the time. These sound so ridiculous that, you have to say, wait, what is going on? The person is incompetent. The person is not learning. I think that's the word that Mr. Ricketts used. That is disappointing that whoever it is not learning or whatever the case may be. You understand? Which is the truth. It is either the truth or it was just an excuse and the person actually know what they're supposed to do but didn't do it. So, my final thing on this is, look, stop blaming social media. Stop blaming even mainstream media. If the organization has a press officer, this person is in charge of getting information out there. And it would be in his or her interest to get the information that the organization wants and not starve the public of information and then go and get mainstream media, social media to go stick up a mic in front of a player or a coach and say, what really going on, and so on. No. They need to preempt that. So, lay the blame where it must go. And whoever it is that need to step up so that people can get the information that they need and we can move on.